Alright, so we got some leech traps set here. Trying to get enough bait for the opening week of fishing season here in Saskatchewan. Those are our leech traps, pretty simple, just a lasagna plate or pie plate, whatever you have. Folded in half, kind of clamshell. Fold them up and then just leave one little corner like that open on both sides of the plate. And that is sufficient. Load your trap up with a chunk of meat or liver, and the best thing to do, what we've found, is setting the trap overnight. Set the trap sometime after supper and retrieve them the next morning. As close to after sunrise as you can. It seems like those little leeches, once the light starts to penetrate that water, they like to head back into their hollows. So we've got 4 traps here, 2 dugouts side by side, and we've got 2 traps in each dugout. So we're gonna go and see what we have. Alright, so here we have it, our string inside the water here. We just used a bit of flagging there so we can identify our rope. So what we do is simply just pull the trap in fairly steadily. You don't want to go too slow. Oftentimes water starts leaking out of your trap, and sometimes it can flush a few leeches away. Not a big deal if you get a pile, but if you don't get that many and you need to salvage them, then it can be important. Okay, so we've got this leech trap pulled. You can see some have adhered to the outside of the trap here, and if you just give me a second, inside the trap we've got our chunk of meat and our now bait. So what we do is just take the meat out of there and set that aside, and what we're left with is a bunch of big and juicy leeches. So what I normally do is just put them into a cooler and then take them home, transfer them to the fridge, and you'll have to keep the water clean and changed every day or so for the next week, and then after that the water tends to stay pretty clean, so you can switch your cleaning to every 3 or 4 or 5 days after that, depending on how clean the water stays. And that's leaching 101. Alright, we're over to our second trap here. What you'll notice is the highways in the background there. What I've found is for ease of access, dugouts located next to highways are pretty common and are pretty accessible, especially in the spring here when the fields are wet. So what we like to do is focus in on these dugouts just for plain simplicity. Alright, I'm just going to pull the second trap here. Alright, so we've got our second trap in this dugout, and 2 more to go on the dugout beside us. Like I said before, it's baited with a chunk of meat or liver. What we do is we get that chunk of meat out of there, and we're left with our prize. So this one's a pretty good haul. They're not all this good, and it's often trial by error, but as you can see, we've got several hundred leeches in this trap. This is our third trap we've pulled this morning. Actually, I had one set in another dugout, and it was equally as productive. So we've set ourselves up pretty nicely here for a lot of fishing this spring, and we'll probably head out another time just to get another batch and set us up for the rest of the summer. Okay, so we've got the third of 4 traps from this pair of side-by-side dugouts. This one might be a good one. When I pulled it out of the water, there was at least a couple dozen leeches attached to the outside of the trap here, so it's a pretty good indication of what's inside. We're typically looking for these guys here. They're the jumbos. They're the juiciest and most preferred by the walleye, although we can double up with some of the smaller ones on our hooks. Let's have a look. Well, kind of a swing and a miss. Got a chunk of meat and a number of leeches, but certainly nothing to scream home about, but we'll take them nonetheless. Alright, we've got the last trap of the day. Again, pretty good sign. Pulled it out. You'll notice, or maybe you won't because they've disappeared in the grass here now, but having your bucket close to the water's edge just helps you recover some of those leeches that actually fall off the outside of the container as you pull it out of the water. So let's get these guys brushed off and into the bucket here, and check out what's inside. Again, nothing too crazy in here. I'll show you in a second. Getting these leeches off with one hand can be difficult, but you know, we've got maybe 30 leeches in this set. Not great, but it'll complement the other 500 or 600 that we pulled in this morning. So water's a little murky under there, but that's what we've got. Anyway, signing off.